Hello and welcome to another episode of All Five Rounds. I am one half your co-host in duo, Ty O'Keefe, and I am joined, as always, by Daren Loucks. And tonight we're going to talk about UFC 232, the results of the main event, the co-main event, where some of the fighters are going to go, some of the other fights maybe on the main card. Obviously, the big takeaway from the weekend was Amanda Nunes running through Chris Cyborg.
Oh man, did she ever run through that? Was it 52 seconds?
Oh my God. Oh my God! I'm not. I know, and let's all just be honest. Nobody expected that.
No, no, not one person. I don't care who you are, what you do. No one saw that. Nobody.
Nobody. No, you're lying if you say you do. I don't even hear it.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, honestly, it hurts the featherweight division, the women's featherweight division. It's a great win for Nunes. I mean, she established herself, in my opinion, as greatest female mixed martial artist of all time. With that
Yeah.
win, I mean, how could she not be? She's beaten everybody now. But I mean, man, does that ever hurt the women's featherweight division? Because now, the centerpiece has lost her title. We don't know what Nunes is going to do. Now, I hope Nunes is one of those champions who will rotate back and forth. Maybe she will. But there's,
Mm.
what's next? I mean, do you think it really hurts? I mean, I think it hurts the division.
Well, you know what? Dana White, I think, has always been looking for an excuse to kill that division, no matter what he says. I mean, he brought Cyborg over. They created the division for her, but then, like, it's been a task to get fighters, to sign their name to fight Cyborg there. So, I mean, I think it just leaves it that much more open for them to crush the division. We'll see what happens, but I don't know.
I mean, okay, let's say Cyborg stays. Obviously, she said after the fight, she definitely wants to stay and keep fighting, and it sounds like she wants to work her way back up to another title shot. Now, I personally think that the next fight for Chris Cyborg is, and I wrote an article about this that should be on the Fight Network soon. Her next fight should be Megan Anderson, and I think the winner of that fight should get a shot at Nunes, whether it's Cyborg or Anderson, doesn't matter, because I don't think there's another fight to make in that respect.
Well, to be honest, if anybody deserves a title shot or at least a rematch, how do you not give it to Cyborg? I mean, I get it. She got dusted in 50 seconds, but man, that's nothing she hasn't been doing to people for the last how many years? Like, she's been
13
crushing.
years.
Yeah, 14 years, man, crushing people and taking their souls. Like, it's give her a rematch back over 50 seconds that didn't go away for once.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, but then at the same time, then I think to myself, Jose Aldo. Okay, Jose Aldo
Mhm.
was dusted 13 seconds. Now 52 seconds is a little bit different, but it's still in that arena. And he hadn't lost in how many years when that happened, and he didn't get a rematch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, but then again, he was in a division where there are other options and other fights for Conor McGregor. I get it. There's not that many other fights for Nunes at 145. She seems to think there's nothing left for her at 135 either, and I disagree. I mean, Ketlin Vieira, could be her next shot at Nunes. Why not? I mean,
yeah. Oh, I think it does. At least it leaves her options where she can go back and forth. She looked pretty comfortable at that weight class, like body type and everything like that. Like, she
yeah,
actually, to me, looked bigger than Cyborg. And when was last time anybody ever said that? You know? And
yeah.
I think that they're going in weights. I think Cyborg only had 4 pounds on her.
I had heard too running into this fight that Nunes was looking slow in camp, and she wasn't handling the weight gain well. And it's like, come on, it's 10 pounds. These are,
Yeah.
what I mean. It's not 40 pounds. And these guys, these women, these athletes, their bodies are trained to adapt. You know what I mean? And Amanda Nunes has proven that she can. Wow, can she ever adapt? Because you're right, she looked like a monster in there, absolute monster. Nobody can say she was really undersized.
She did. And you know what? Size and speed to me wasn't even the factor in that fight. Like, you looked at two people who were brawling and one person who was trying to go straight down the middle, but she had the shorter reach, and the person with the longer reach was going around those straight shots. And to me, I just felt like the game plan for Cyborg was flawed. I don't think when you're trying to brawl with somebody at that, she was still trying to brawl and keep her at the end of punches. But when she can't reach her target because the arm length of her target is further back and still hitting her clean, she should have pulled back.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say that, and it's common sense when you've seen that many fights. It's common sense if you've even been in a fight, just like a bar fight. If someone is cracking on you like that, step back, regroup, and figure something out. And instead, Cyborg thought, like she thought with all the other people she fought, she could just move forward, and her power would eventually win the fight or land a shot that would stop Nunes from just smacking her like that. I mean, but I guess that's what happens. You feel the heat like that, and like I said, I really think this has a lot to do with the fact that heading into this fight, Cyborg, in my opinion, had only ever been tested once, and that was against Holly Holm. I don't want to hear about the Gina Carano fight. It was not a true test. Just stop it. Holly Holm was the only time that it was the only fighter to ever give Chris Cyborg any heat, any real trouble, you know what I mean? And she was dominated. But still, she did. There were moments in that fight where she smacked Cyborg around, and it was what it was. That's it. 13 years is great, or 14 years, whatever it is. She was not prepared for someone like Amanda Nunes. Nobody could be at that point. But I'm just saying she had never felt anything like that before. I mean, look, her last opponent, Kunitskaya, she ran through her in first round as well, and it was nasty. It wasn't even close. So,
well,
yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna slightly, you know what I'm gonna say here? I'm gonna slightly disagree, and I'm gonna say why. I'm gonna say,
go for it. Hey, if we agree all the time, it's gonna be a boring ass show.
I'm gonna say, man, you know what? I think actually just the years of sparring have caught up to her. I bet you she's does a lot of sparring with either super high level women boxers or kickboxers or men. And I think over her career, hitting as hard as she does, I'm sure she's been cracked many times. And I think just the punches that were landing, I'm not saying they weren't hard, because obviously Amanda Nunes can hit, but when you look at punches that other girls have hit her with, and she just kind of like flinched them off like it was nothing. I think it could be also the tales of her starting to be on the decline.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see where she goes from here. Now, the main event to me was so boring. I was so disappointed with it. I know I'm in the minority. There's other people who's like, wow, what a work of art from Jon Jones. Oh my God. I get it, whatever. But I mean, now Jones is back at the top. Gustafsson, the whole dream of the kryptonite that could, finish Jon Jones is gone. Everybody's been dreaming about this. Who hates Jon Jones for like what, 5 years? Everybody's been saying, "Oh, Gustafsson's the guy. Gustafsson's the guy." All the Jon Jones haters. Now that's over with. So, first of all, I'm going to straight up just ask you. I know we don't like doing that here. I'm going to straight up just ask you, what was your opinion of the main event? Because mine was like, I'll give it like a D.
And performance-wise, I was watching it, and first off, when I saw Gus come out and I saw his body type, I was like, man, he does not look like he's in shape for this. And, body types can sometimes be deceiving, and it's been 5 years or whatever it's been since they fought last. So, with age and stuff, it's harder to get, super ripped down sometimes for guys. But that to me was the first sign that, I don't know if he's in shape for this. And second of all, when I was watching it, to me, it looked like Jon Jones has not changed at all. I hope all the other fighters were sitting there watching going like, that's the same Jon Jones that we knew even 5 years ago. Little shots, particularly with his kicks. He doesn't set a lot of them up at all. He almost sets up no kicks, and he throws them that way. And he's able to utilize that with a lot of guys because of his reach advantage and stuff. He can hit them once and stay long. Hit them once, stay long. The only thing I did notice that I thought he did a little bit better job this time was that he's kept his distance slightly better than Gus. Gus was able to fire off tons of combinations because, let's be honest, his boxing is light years ahead of Jon Jones's. So he owned the stand-up last time. I still thought he was winning the 2 rounds. I thought he was up 2-0. And, Jon is just a superior ground guy, and not even that. I mean, I think Gus has a lot to work, a lot of, and I think he's trained a lot to keep the fights standing, but hasn't trained a lot of positional stuff in terms of like working his way from half guard into a submission into regarding or things like that. He got mounted like an amateur, and I was like, you need to get on your side and turn, and he wasn't even moving, and I was like, he hadn't even gotten hit hard on the ground yet. So I think, fortunately, I think Gus's window of opportunity is out the door. I think he's got to move up to heavyweight, maybe, or maybe middleweight. But I think judging on his body, heavyweight's more of an option. And unfortunately, for every 205er out there, I don't know. I don't see anybody else with the key to beat John until he starts to deteriorate as a fighter.
Yeah, I think Father Time's going to be the only opponent that take John Jones out. I mean, period. I was picking Gus heading into this fight because I guess part of me was just I like change. I like to see. It's interesting, it's intriguing, and Gus I thought was worthy of accomplishing something like that. He didn't come out like I thought either. You're right. His boxing is beyond light years ahead. I mean, he's a hell of a boxer, but he did look really amateurish in my opinion. And now I've never trained MMA. I know you have. And that's one of the great perspectives you bring to the show. But he did look amateurish to me as well. I've watched enough MMA to know that it just was he just needs work on the ground. You're right. I mean, 185, forget it. He's not going to 185. Never, 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 never. The weight cut would make him so depleted, and they would probably. I don't even know if he could make the cut. I don't think he could. I really do not think he make the cut. Heavyweight, great. Go up to heavyweight. There's so many different interesting things going on up there right now with new guys coming up. Miocic. Hey, Gustafsson, Miocic. I'll pay to see that.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, bring it. And especially if Jones and Cormier are going to go at heavyweight, which I have no interest in watching. But
I love how you just totally hate that fight, no matter what. If I put anything out on Twitter or on that or Mayweather and Khabib, and you're just shitting on it right away.
I've always been like, me, 23 years of being like that, man. It's how it goes. No, it's true. I'm not that stuff is to me, it's circus shit, I mean, Mayweather McGregor was just a big circus, and I was forced to cover that, and it was endless. It wasn't just the event. We covered it for months leading up to it when I was fan sided MMA, and I'm telling you, it was in my head nonstop. I couldn't get it out. It was horrible, just horrible. All right, so whatever, and don't get me started on Khabib Mayweather, and this thing with DC Jones. I don't understand. Why does everybody think that just because now DC doesn't make cut 20 pounds is going to help him? He did that. It's not. When they go,
you don't think it'll help at all?
Hold on. If 20 pounds is going to help DC, shit, we all know after these guys weigh in, we all know all they do is carb load. The day after they weigh in, they're sometimes 15, 20 pounds heavier than what they're on the scale. Some of these guys, especially the bigger weight classes. So what the hell is this ridiculous notion that 20 pounds would help? He already had 20 pounds probably when he went into the second fight. Such bullshit. I'm so sick of this. Market the hell out of it, shove it down our throat, and think, oh, great, this is such a greatest fight. And I tell you what, Lesnar, too, if I hear another word about Brock Lesnar, that's another boycott. I don't want anything to do with any Brock Lesnar fight.
Hold on. Okay, so let me just hold on a sec here. Man, first of all, I'm just going to tell you, I like DC and John Jones 3 at heavyweight, only at heavyweight, intrigues me, and I'll tell you why. All right. Only at heavyweight, though. I don't want to see them fight again at 205. I already know John Jones is going to beat him at 205. I already know that.
If it happens, it's not going to be at 205. It won't be. The UFC will not do that. I guarantee you that.
Well, I hope not, because to me, there's no appeal to that. But throwing them at heavyweight, Daniel Cormier is an undefeated heavyweight, and for a good reason. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't hit hard at 205, but how many knockouts does he have at 205?
No, you're right. And you can see also that I think Jones would have a disadvantage because I don't think he would gain the weight as well, and he wouldn't gain as much weight as Cormier. So no matter what, coming into the fight, DC I think would be significantly heavier. and therefore, like, he wouldn't have to go through the weight cut, so he would have that advantage as well. And at heavyweight, he's been unstoppable.
Mhm.
It's kind of one of those things you say. It's kind of one of those things you say. Well, he's never lost before, so why do we all think he's suddenly going to lose? You know what I mean? Until he loses, like until further notice, he's unstoppable at heavyweight.
Yeah, and the other thing about that too, not just that as well, but I wonder if John Jones can compete at a heavier weight class and be as fast. I
Oh
get
no,
it.
he can't. I'm telling you right now, his body does not have. His frame is not built for that. He's like you and I. If you and I, I'm 6'4", you're what, 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah.
If you and I gained that much muscle, like beyond, like I had been 221 at one time of pretty much almost all muscle, and you've been about that. You've been like that as well, and so you know how it is. But if you have a frame like us, it's hard to do. You try to gain another what? You imagine trying to gain
Yeah.
another 30 pounds or 20 pounds on it. You would slow already at 221. When I was 6'4", I was significantly slower than when I was
Hmm.
around 200 pounds. Like I could no longer hang on a basketball rim.
Yeah.
Like period. I couldn't run like half at my sprints were nowhere near as fast. So I mean, and I wasn't, some big athlete, whatever, at that point in my life. So, but you know what I mean, though. Like you notice yourself moving much
It's a
slower.
big difference. Yeah, it's a big difference. And whereas DC is comfortable there, I don't think John would be as comfortable there.
Yeah.
And I think I don't even know if John would lift or try to gain weight. I mean, he might, but if he didn't, he would probably weigh less than DC,
Oh, much.
which could,
I would think much less. Much less.
yeah, which could be another problem as well. So that's why I'm saying the
You know
fight
what? You
intrigues
know
me at
what?
heavy.
You're talking me into watching this fight.
You're not going to
Straight
boycott
up.
it?
You're talking. The boycott's been removed. The boycott's off.
Yeah,
I'm going
man.
to
You
do
never
DC
know.
Jones 3 at heavyweight. At heavyweight. At heavyweight.
At heavyweight. And hey, we don't know if John Jones can go 5 rounds at heavyweight. We can. Can John Jones?
After DC knocked out Miocic, I have no doubt that he can knock out anybody.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I thought Miocic was.
Heavyweight.
I thought Miocic was unknockoutable.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you couldn't do it, and especially DC. He's not really known for knocking people out, is he? I mean, at
Well, that's what
heavyweight,
I'm saying. At 205, he's gone the distance many times. Like he could take out an out of prime Anderson Silva. He didn't take out John or Gus. I'm trying to think of any I know he's gotten TKO stoppages there. I'm trying to think of any knockouts, but man,
how did he beat
he's
Anthony
smashed
Johnson?
him.
I should look it up.
He
Either way,
choked him
yeah,
twice.
okay, yeah, yeah. And Anthony
So
Johnson's one hell of a wrestler too.
yeah, so I think he hits significantly harder at heavyweight, and he's fast for a heavyweight.
All right, so do you think now we're gonna just move a little bit down the card just because there's a couple things I want to cover before we quit? This stuff about Chad Mendes retiring after losing to Alexander Volkanovski. Did you? I mean, I can't believe that's ridiculous. I don't think it's going to stick. I think he's just a little upset with himself, and we're going to see him back. I mean, I don't know.
Guys, top five in the division. I can't even think of why he would retire. He didn't have a bad showing. I thought he was putting on a hell of a fight, and he just got hurt. I mean, that's the fight game, right?
Yeah, and also he's coming off a suspension still. I mean, he had a fight before this, but he had been suspended, so he hasn't really been on that active lately. And so this was like a fresh start for him. And yeah, one loss, whatever. But this Volkanovski beat him, great. But that's why I don't think this is going to stick. But I mean, I think that was probably one of the craziest things I heard coming out of this card, that Chad Mendes retired. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was stunned by that. I didn't know. I thought it was fake. I thought it was fake news. Also, didn't help that
Don't.
BJPenn.com was the
Okay, whoa,
first
stop,
place that.
stop, 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 stop. We won't stop, stop. We will never, ever, ever use the term fake news on this fucking show ever again. Please, please, as my brother, please,
uh,
please,
all right.
never again will you ever use that shit on our show ever
All
again,
right.
please. God dang. Oh, that's nauseating, brother. You know better. You fucking know better. Jesus.
Uh,
All
but
right.
seriously
So
though, I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was real. I thought
I
that
mean,
was a joke.
neither did I. When I first heard it, I thought it was BS for sure. I didn't, but yeah, and that's how ridiculous it is. There's a reason we thought it was BS because it's ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
well, anyways, all right. So, last thing, Megan Anderson, what does that win do, if anything? The toe kick in the eye, does it take away from the win? Does she? I mean, I think there's two options for her. Either she fights Cyborg, which probably might happen just because Cyborg's gonna have trouble finding an opponent, or she has a rematch immediately as soon as Ngannou's ready.
I like the rematch idea. I don't like the toe poke. That to me, I've had that happen once to me, and that's honestly that's one of not to the severity that she got it. Thank God, but honestly, that's a nightmare. And you see all these guys getting poked in the eye with the fingers and stuff. And I mean, again, not to the same severity every time as that, but it's like that's damaging, and it's not you can't eye poke somebody with your fingers. I don't like the idea of being able to do it with your feet any better. So I don't think you stop the fight and give her the win. And I mean, it already happened, but let them have a rematch.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be a no contest because you can't control your toes like that. You know what I mean? That's what the argument is that that's why it's not the same as an eye poke, because you cannot control your toes the same way you can control your fingers. But yeah, it's an odd win. It doesn't really get it's not a knock on Zingano, and it's not a huge credit to Megan Anderson. So I'm just curious to see where that's going to go. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, we're going to wrap this up. We have gone. We always like to stay like 25 minutes or under. That's kind of our all 5 rounds policy. Um, I just want to quickly say it's been a rough day for people dying. Mean Gene Oakland died today.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, and Super Dave Osborne, I heard, the actor who played him. Sorry, I don't remember his name right now, and I apologize for that. And also someone who was kind of a personal inspiration to me. His name was Tyler Trent. He was a big fan of Purdue. He died. He inspired me a lot, and it's too bad to hear that he passed away as well today. He's only, I believe, 20 years old. So that's tough too. And I believe he died of. I don't get it wrong, so I'm not going to say it. But rest easy to all of them. Just because it's a crazy day for stuff like that. That's weird. That stuff all happens in one day sometimes like that, huh?
Yeah.
Crazy world we live in. All right, so please tune in. We're going to have some more content coming out this week, possibly some interviews with some fighters, possibly some guest appearances from some crazy friends, and we'll see what's going on with that. Where can we find you on Twitter?
Daren Loucks. Check it out.
And you can find me at Above the Full Tie. Like as I said, I should have an article on Megan Anderson coming out shortly on the Fight Network. And thank you so much for tuning in to all 5 rounds. We will be back soon.